Hi, welcome to week 5. I once again want to remind you to avoid that activity stream. I know it's the first thing that pops up, especially when you're working on a smart device like a phone. Please remember to look for courses. You may have to go to the little menu at the top to even find this, but make sure you're clicking on courses and always doing everything for our course, including checking the gradebook. From here, please remember to view all announcements. There's been a late work policy change, some notes about updated grades, reminding you how to check your feedback, and a lot of things here that I'm trying to communicate with you. And you can see that some of these are not getting viewed properly. Right now we have only 25 out of 34 checking these, so make sure you're checking your announcements, please. Okay, make sure you're also checking your grade book. We are going to go down and we are going to take a look at week 5 and how to succeed in week 5. I'm going to go ahead and make this visible because it is ready for you. And the first thing you'll see is the video that I'm making right now of how to succeed in week 5. Then there's a video on using criterion effectively. I'm going to read you what it says here. It says, please watch this video. Please. Criterion is a strange software, and this will help you use it successfully. Please try to use Criterion before I leave for the weekend so I can answer your questions about using Criterion. It is a very strange software. The video is there to help you see how to work on that split screen that allows you to make changes on one side and see what needs to change on the other side. And you are not going to know how to get to that unless you watch the video. I am begging you to watch this video. Please watch it. Criterion is linked here for you. The instructions for how to sign up are back in week 4. They are also in the Start Here menu from week 1. I've been asking you to work on getting this since week 1. This week it is required, and you'll notice that the poetry analysis final draft says use Criterion before you submit here. If you have submitted here and you have not yet used Criterion, I'm going to give you a temporary 0 until you go use Criterion. And you can use Criterion and resubmit, but I'm not going to take it from you until you've used Criterion, and that's the bottom line. So you have to get Criterion. Okay, I'll play on a lot of things, but this one's not up to me. I don't get to decide this. You need to use Criterion. Okay, so here's how to use it effectively. Here's a link to it. I'm going to go over these MLA format rules with you very briefly. I'm even going to open the document and make sure that we talk about it. This is a document that uses MLA format. Now in Blackboard you do not need this, but if you do put it here, please make sure both my name and title are correct. I am not Mrs., I am not Miss, I am not Ms. I am Dr. Ann Swanberg, and you don't want the first thing in your essay to be getting your instructor's name wrong. Not awesome. Of course, make sure your name is before mine. Your full name is more important than mine because I know who I am, and I know I'm your teacher, but I don't always know whose paper it is. You don't have to put this in Blackboard. Blackboard labels your work for me when I need it. As a matter of fact, sometimes I hide it so that I don't know whose paper I'm reading. I do that especially later in the semester to prevent any biases that I may have developed from creeping through, so that I can be pleasantly surprised when a student who used to be struggling now does a fantastic job. All right, so these are the basic rules. We are setting this up. You can see that we indent a paragraph and that we're using Times New Roman font. It tells you what should be in a header. It asks you to double space. When you are double spacing, please make sure you are not hitting enter at the end of a line. That is not how you double space. You double space by selecting the text and going up to layout, or no, go back. Just go to home, sorry. And then you choose this button where there's an up and down arrow. That's the line and paragraph spacing. and you simply choose 2.0 instead of 1. Okay, so that's double spacing. So please make sure you're doing it that way. Don't hit enter in between. Generally with the margins, if you leave them with the preset margins, you're all set. If you try to make them bigger, that's when you come into a problem. Times New Roman 12-point font, using a smaller font makes it hard to read, and using a larger font means that you're trying to stretch with your formatting rather than with your brain, and I would like you to stretch with your brain. Please make sure that you are using, I'm going to show you this one as well, that you are using Enter and Tab to indent instead of spacing to indent. Please remember that Blackboard ruins your formatting. If you copy and paste this into Blackboard, you will need to put a physical white space in between those paragraphs for me to tell where your paragraphs are, because it can ruin your indenting. The best thing to do is to save it as a Word document and upload it as a Word document instead of copying and pasting. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm not going to save those changes. So I'm going to close that. That's here under MLA Format rules. It goes over them. Poetry discussion number 3. This is an initial post. I'm going to actually open this and take a look at it with you, the instructions. Your initial post is due Wednesday. I'm asking you to please copy and paste the part of your essay draft that you are most worried about. Do copy and paste instead of uploading a file. It makes it easier for your classmates to see it without having to have the same document reader as you. Remember, everybody's working on different kinds of computers, so if you're posting Word documents, I may be able to open them, but your peers may not be. So in a discussion board, let's copy and paste. You can choose your thesis paragraph, concluding, a tricky source paragraph, or even a works cited list, but I want you to keep it focused. Your peers don't have time to read your whole paper. So choose no more than 1 paragraph, please. And then in a separate line or 2, please explain your concerns about it, and don't forget that explanation. Otherwise, we don't really know how to help you, and we're just going to be complaining about your work. In this week, your responses to peers are due on Friday so that peers can use your help on their final draft over the weekend. So once you've uploaded yours, please immediately look at what your peers have uploaded, help your peers address their concerns. Try to look for at least 3 peers' posts. Please do not respond with compliments. That's not helpful. You are trying to help each other improve the work. And also, please try to spread out your attention. We don't want the first 3 people who post getting all the responses. That's not really helpful. All right, so think of this as group work, please, because that's what it is. And you have a responsibility to your peers here to give them some responses. All right, we have a quiz. I'm going to go over the answers to this quiz with you. This essay requires me to use multiple direct quotes from at least 3 poems. That is correct. That is true. 3 quotes from each poem, please, is the minimum. You may use more than that. This essay requires a works cited list as the last page. That is also correct. There should be a works cited entry for every poem that you use. Using criterion to edit my essay is optional. That is false. Criterion use is required before you turn this essay in for a grade. This essay does not have a minimum word count requirement. That is also false. Every essay in our class needs to be up over 1,000 words, so that's some serious development. So take some time and really look at the models that you've been given in the sample essay and the sample paragraphs, and make sure you are giving me that development. This essay is about a theme, so I am not required to state a strong thesis. That is false. We worked in week 4 on the difference between theme and thesis, and you are required to have developed a thesis. This essay is required to be at least 5 paragraphs, but it can be longer than that. That is true. You can add a 6th paragraph, especially if you're dealing with a poem where there's a lot to say about it. That may be one way that you get up over 1,000 words. This essay can use any of the poems from the poetry unit. That is true. Please do not use poems that are outside the poetry unit. Please do not use poems I haven't assigned, or risk, which was from our diagnostic essay. Those are not part of our poetry unit. Okay. I do not need to provide any citations for dictionary definitions or information about the author if I use that in my essay. That is false. If you use any words or ideas from any source, you need to introduce the source in sentences, quote the source, and cite the source. So absolutely false. However, I have not asked you to use any of that. I've not asked you for dictionary definitions. I have not asked you for biographical information about the author. I have not asked you to do research on these poems. So please just think your own thoughts. I did a dissertation on these poets. I don't need to know what other people think about them. I already know. I need to know what you think about them. Let's stick to that, please. That's what I'm interested in. This essay requires me to look up and use information about the author's life and history. That is false. You are to use only what you know without looking things up, please. And number 10, when I am doing a close reading of a poem, that means I am using the poem's lines to prove that the poem's meaning and significance are what I assert they are, and that is true. That's what we mean by doing a close reading, and that's what we're doing in this essay. We're trying to prove a thesis by using the poems to show that as evidence. Your questions will be in a different order than mine, so please make sure that you're thinking about the content of these answers. And you can try it more than once, so if you need to go back and watch this video, you are absolutely welcome to do that. Let's go ahead and open the assignment so that we can preview it. Please place your final copy of your poetry analysis here. Essays should meet the following minimum requirements. It must be 1,000 to 1,500 words per the syllabus. It must have at least 5 paragraphs. You may need additional body paragraphs to fully explain how your poems support your thesis or to reach your minimum word count. Number 3, each body paragraph should follow the steps for a source use paragraph that we went over in week 3. And must contain source introductions, quotations, and in-text citations. So make sure you are using those models and handouts and instructional videos from week 3 very carefully, please. Some folks needed to go back over their week 3 assignment and try that again before they did their draft because their source use wasn't quite right. Remember, the main goal for this course is source use. So I need to make sure that's working before this essay can pass. So this is a really big deal here. This is one of the main student learning outcomes that I need to have you hit. Your last page should provide a works cited entry for each poem you quoted in your essay. Use the Purdue OWL citation format web link if you need to, or use the handout I provided. Please save your work as a Word file or as a PDF and upload that file. I often can't open Google Docs through Blackboard. So copying and pasting into Blackboard in this case will wreck a lot of your formatting. So a Word file or as a PDF. I will also add here in week 5 a quick little video on how to save your work as a Word file or as a PDF if you're working in Google Documents. And I'll put that up right here near the format rules. All right. This is a week where I would expect a lot of students to need to come see me in a help session. So as always, our help sessions are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 1 o'clock, on Fridays at 9 a.m., and on Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. And I hope to see you there, and I can't wait to see your final products.